Hello, I'm Tommy from the Bartitsu Lab, and in this particular session we'll be looking at using our grips to set up our hits. Now, grabbing a person and hitting a person is very, very common. It's what we call HAPV, habitual acts of physical violence, and most humans are pretty instinctive at grabbing with a weak hand and striking with a strong hand. Even very trained martial artists, when they actually fight each other, this grip and this hit happens all the time. So we need to know how to use it as well as how to defend against it. I've got a lot of videos which talk about how we might defend against it, but offensively it's actually a very useful tool. Right, the wind is blowing my notes everywhere. So I've built this little chubby gi man here. He's got his belt, he's got his gi on, and this could represent any degree of jacket, hoodie or so on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of the best grips to allow you to hit at force with accuracy in places which are damaging and final, because you need to know how to manipulate clothes. One of the most important things about jiu-jitsu and a gi is it gets you used to realistic clothes wrestling. You know, you need to be able to wrestle without a gi, so against people in t-shirts, vests, other clothes, because understanding the anatomy of grabs is important. But so too in the Western world, in Western Europe, days like this aside, most of the time it's bloody cold and you're wearing a coat, a jacket, a suit. You know, you are wearing something with a bit more robustness to it, and those add extra levers, extra ways in which you can gain positional advantage for your strikes. So the first of these grips and hits which I'm going to show you, I find very effective, is the cross shoulder grab. So if you imagine, I want to hit with my right hand. I could grab his left shoulder and hit, but what will happen most likely is that he will grab my shoulder and also hit me. And we'll end up, if you've ever seen that Pride video, of two people grabbing and hitting each other simultaneously. And that will really end in whoever's the strongest, the fastest, the most venomous. So I use a cross grab. I grab with my left hand across the opposite shoulder on top, and I keep the thumb pinched on. I don't grab with the thumb, I pinch grip, like so. Pinch on the shoulder, wrench down with my elbow. So I don't try and pull him with my muscle, I wrench down with my elbow, which will turn him somewhat. And then I use my hooks. So my hooks can be to the kidneys, to the head. Okay? So first point of call. By grabbing here, I've actually made a really decent frame. I've made something which stops him closing the distance. Now I've stopped him moving in on me, which is brilliant, especially if it's a grappler, it's bigger or stronger. Okay? So I've used this pinch grip across the body, and I've got a frame here. I can now pull down with my elbow to turn him a little bit, and then I can launch in these hooks. So I can hook to the kidneys, to the back of the neck, to the side of the jaw. So start from here. I've turned him, I've landed my shots. If I want to now, if I want to exit the scene, I can use my right hand, push heavily on the back of that shoulder blade, and be gone. Okay? So, just to repeat, there's no point me grabbing here and hitting, because he'll mirror that exactly with me. So I go across, I grab the top of his shoulder, and again, if he doesn't have a gi, I can literally grab his shoulder. Here, pull down with the elbow. I don't try and manipulate with my bicep. I pull down with the elbow to turn him, viciously land these strikes. I can then push off to escape. So again, I've got positional advantage. I've stopped him closing. I've managed to turn him. I've used Kazushi, and now I can attack his more vulnerable points around his kidneys, on his spine, around the back of his neck, or if I want the knockout blow, along the jaw or behind the ear. So the cross shoulder grip, for me, is one of the most important self-defense grips you can ever know. And it keeps you a lot safer than a 50-50 grip. Another thing is, if he does decide, that hand's kind of checked, because my hand is here. If he does decide to attack with that hand, I've got a high shoulder. So again, he finds it really hard to punch my head. I can raise that and keep myself safe from any punch with the opposite hand. You know, if you imagine, it's hard for him to hit me here. So I can block if I need to, I can elbow if I need to. I've got a strong frame so he can't close the distance, and I can turn and strike. So cross grip, elbow down, 1, 2. Okay, very useful. Make sure you drill that one. Next one, I'm going to use an arm drag, an inner arm drag. So in this instance, we're a bit closer, and I'm going to get, if you imagine both of his arms are here, using my left hand, I'm going to grab the inside of his elbow. And I'm going to use my hips, not my arms, my hips, to turn him. And again, I've turned him to the side here, exposing His spleen, exploding parts of his body, his kidneys, again back of his head. So here, I grab the inside like an arm drag, I use the hips to turn it, keeping my head close, then I can strike and grapple. So from here, grab the fabric, turn the hips, don't just pull on the arm, turn the hips. Here, turn the hips, get the head in, because in case I want to grapple, 1, 2, 3. So that is the inside arm drag, which I find very, very useful at closer range. Next, we've got the lapel and Alba. So I just tidy my man up here. So again, on his body, we've seen cross grip to the shoulder. We've seen an inner grip arm drag here. What we're now going to look at is doing a cross grip with our right hand to the inside of his right lapel. And we're going to drop the elbows in. So we're going to go from elbow grip into repeated elbows. Okay? So again, this is a good piece of kazushi pre-throw. Grab the inside grip, hit a couple of times with the elbow, then nail your throw. So we've covered in. This is a really useful one if you find yourself just dead center front on. We haven't got the opportunity to get the high shoulder, which is priority 1, or the inside arm, priority 2. So we need to work with the hand that we've been dealt. So seize the lapel, drive those elbows in, and then move into your next technique. So seize, then move into your next technique. And again, because this is on a punch bag, he is ridiculously high. So I'm hitting to the body. In reality, on a normal sized person, those hits, whilst grabbing the lapel, come to the head. See, so I'm grabbing it here, 1, 2, 3, then into a throw. So the lapel grab when you find yourself square on is really, really useful. And the next one comes from traditional jiu-jitsu, comes from an obinage, so a belt throw. So we seize the front. This could be the front of the trousers, front of the jeans. It could literally be the belt, and both a gi belt or a normal working belt. We seize up here, we pull the body in close, and then we cross outwards to the jaw. Okay, so we find ourselves dead center, especially if the opponent's taller. We get a center of mass, a belt. As we pull the belt in, we strike up. I'll use a palm heel now. And again, their body comes in, and you strike their face. Really useful against taller opponents or where they've got a good piece of clothing or belt for you to grab. So to recap these, really important clothing grips to lead you to opportune striking, more pinpoint, deadly final striking, which for Bartitsu boxing, for self-defense boxing, is really important. First one, and the best one, shoulder grip. Keep the elbow down, turn, and hit. Bear in mind you can defend with a high shoulder. Shoulder grip, turn, 1, 2. We've got our inner grip, so we go inside, grab the sleeve or the elbow, turn, and we're using our hips. Yeah. We've then got our lapel, so we grab the lapel, and we can fire in our elbow or forearm shots before doing something else. And then finally, we've got our belt, our obinage. So we seize the belt, we pull their body in, but we hit the head back. And there we go. I've derobed and disarmed the man. So make sure you get used to lots of different appropriate clothing grips, because often they can be the right lever for you to open up a strike to somewhere you couldn't access without it. So get used to working with and manipulating clothes, hoodies, scarves, anything people are likely to wear, motorbike helmets. Get used to being able to grab and move what people are wearing to open up strikes to places you want to hit. Really useful part of Bartitsu.